It is always a pleasure to have the opportunity.
We lost you again. We lost your video. We hear your audio, but we lost your video.
Mr. Speaker, I'm actually off the island, and I'm off the island in Jamaica, and I'm trying to do this from.
We see you. We see you now.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I was not going to speak. I was listening, and I heard the contributions of my colleagues until I listened and heard the diatribe from the speaker that spoke before. Mr. Speaker, we have an opportunity in this country to look at what's happening economically, to look what's happening socially, and it is clear that this is an opportunity for us all to put our oars in the water. We are pontificating and trying to understand why the Minister of Finance left, but Mr. Speaker, it is my assertion that is not what we need to focus on. We need to focus on in all of our different compartments and all the different things that we do, in what can we do, or what can I do, or what can my family do to make Bermuda a better place. In Bermuda, oftentimes we focus on that which is really big instead of the little change and the links that make things happen. I know the Minister of Finance, and what is irrefutable is that he is a man of integrity, and that he is a man of honor, and that he has served this country with distinction. I listened to the speaker before, and she disparaged my leadership. She disparaged my commitment, the work that I've done, and she marked it down to what she figured was a mistake. Now, Mr. Speaker, if we were to cast aspersions on her past, Mr. Speaker,
point of order.
Point of order.
The member is misleading the House. I did not at any time, in any way, disparage his reputation, his leadership.
Yes, you did.
Yes, you did.
We will not be having members shouting in. Okay? MP De Silva, if you cannot control your mouth, I suggest you keep your mic off and don't tempt yourself to get on the wrong side of this conversation. You clear? MP De Silva?
Got you, Mr. Speaker.
The next time, you're out of here. I'm not going to let this night get deteriorated in any sense. Because yes, it's very sensitive issues before us right now, and if it's not kept in hand, it will go to a level we do not need let it go to. So I'm not even going to let it start there. Everybody who wants to speak will have the opportunity to speak. There's no need for you to be shouting in. If you have a point of order, raise your point of order. Now continue with the point of order that was raised. Are you finished, MP Jackson? MP Jackson, you finished? MP Caines, continue.
My point of order, Mr. Speaker.
What's your point of order, MP De Silva?
The honorable member just cut in, Jackson, and said that she didn't disparage the honorable member Caines, and she clearly did, Mr. Speaker. So my thing is she's misleading this House. And you heard her, Mr. Speaker, yourself. She disparaged MP Caines.
MP De Silva, the member made her point. I'm listening very careful, and then if it crosses a line, I'll be the first to acknowledge it crossed the line, okay?
Okay,
I know you're skillful enough to defend or speak to the issues that you need to speak to. Use your talent and your skill, and you have your mic.
Mr. Speaker, it is quite typical is when people have the opportunity to say things. I'm not going to let history not be told this afternoon. Mr. Speaker, when we look at the Disaster Risk and Reduction and Mitigation Unit, I was a part of a government that when that did not exist, I was a part of a government that put that in place. An entity that was put in place to make sure that when there was a natural disaster in this country, that we had a team put in place to make sure that happened. I was proud to be a part of a government, Mr. Speaker. I was proud to be a part of a government, Mr. Speaker, that when there was no country's Coast Guard, I was proud to be a part of a government and lead a ministry, Mr. Speaker, that established Bermuda's Coast Guard, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I was proud to lead a government and to be a part of a government and to lead a ministry that put forward a gang violence reduction unit, Mr. Speaker, that established opportunities when we were at 15 to 20 gang violence, 15 gang murders in a year. For 1 year, Mr. Speaker, we had no violent activities, no murders in 1 year. I was a part of a government, Mr. Speaker, that did initiatives such as Redemption Farms, that put on programs in schools. Mr. Speaker, I do not want that member to allow history to mislead itself. When we started through the leadership of this government, FinTech, Mr. Speaker, when there was no such thing heard, that Speaker would allow for this country to think that I went around the world disgracing this country. Ask how many companies have come to this country and set up in this country based on the work that this government did. Mr. Speaker, the list can go on and on. When we were in the throngs of the pandemic, when this government put together a plan that when all governments were around the world were fiddling and fumbling and trying to find the way around, it was this government that put together a solid plan. Mr. Speaker, when that member was in her bed, I traversed this country from night and day and night, making sure that our people were safe at the airport, making sure that our young people came back safely. Mr. Speaker, I wouldn't allow that member to allow history not to be told the work, yeoman service that I put in and continue to put in for the people of this country. So when she tells the story, Mr. Speaker, she must tell the entire story. Days, 20-hour days, working relentlessly on behalf of the people of this country. Like many people that stop us all in the streets and they say, what is the government doing and what is their plan? There is a plan for government. But let me say something, Mr. Speaker. I would allow for you to check the work that I have done in this country, that I will continue to do in this country, the nights, the days, the toils that I work on behalf of the people of Bermuda. I would not allow that member, that perfect member, that blemishless member, that member that has made no mistakes in her life, to leave the people of Bermuda thinking that I have not done the work that I have done specifically on their behalf and will continue to do on their behalf.
Mr.
Point of order. The honorable member, I think perhaps mistakenly, is misleading the House. I understood him to say that he was abroad and perhaps his reception wasn't very good. I sat here, as did we all, and the Hansard will show that MP Jackson praised his leadership. What she said was she was disappointed in his conduct in relation to a particular incident in the UK, and then went on to say that she praised his leadership, and it was sad for him to have to leave his cabinet role. So I think perhaps he may not have heard in
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker,
thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ms. Caines, MP Caines, MP Perriman, your comments have been noted. MP Caines.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, that member is a part of a team, and I am not going to let he mince his words to make light of what that member just did to my name and to my reputation. I will not stand for that. Yes, she does not know anything that went on in our organization internally. She does not know anything that went on anything behind the scenes. And so what that member is trying to do is trying to put lipstick on a pig, and I would not allow that, Mr. Speaker. That member...
Mr. Speaker, point of order.
Point of order.
And the member is impugning improper motive here. That is not what I intended, and that was not what I said. He's completely taken it out of context. Those are not my words. And I'm not perfect.
Mr. Speaker. Let me just ask everybody to take a breather, calm down a little bit. A member made reference, the honorable member, when she spoke, she made reference to an incident, and she used that incident to basically say that it was a shame to see someone of your hard work having to leave because of an incident. But I think everybody remember that we just need to slow down the pace and keep going. I think Honorable Member Caines is very gifted in being able to defend himself, and I think he's doing okay in speaking for himself. He was the person there. The rest of us all hearsay in this regard. Honorable Caines. You're on a track that is
Mr.
very
Speaker?
acceptable. Continue on the track that you're on.
Mr. Speaker?
Mr. Speaker,
Point of clarification, Mr. Speaker?
MP is over?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, you just talked about the incident when the Honorable Member Caines was a minister on a board, and you said that he had to leave because of that. He did not leave because of that incident, Mr. Speaker. I'm just clarifying that for the record.
Clarifying. The point is, whatever incident, my word, drove him out, my word again, the member was just saying he was sorry that his talent was lost from around the table. Mr. Caines, MP Caines, your talent has been recognized, and I know that you're talented enough to be able to continue your conversation in a vein that represents what you want to represent without the assistance from anybody else.
Mr. Speaker, the resignation of the Minister of Finance was a shock to us all. I think this has given us opportunity all to do some introspection. When people look and they say, who will be the next finance minister, what we're going to do for our budget. I'll tell you something that I said in our caucus, Mr. Speaker. This is an opportunity for us all to work together, to band together, to look at the band-aids where they need to be applied, to look at where the introspection needs to take place and do that. But what is clear is that this party that has a history of overcoming obstacles, of working together, of being strong and understanding what the people of Bermuda need. We did not get elected to government for what Wayne Caines wants, or what Curtis Dickinson wants, or what David Burton wants. We are an amalgamation of the thoughts, the hopes, the dreams of all of Bermuda. No matter what I might think personally of where we are, this party is committed to changing things for the people of Bermuda. This is a wake-up call, and this is an opportunity for us to reset. And the reset must take place where we all dig in to what is important to us, and that is the work, the time, that which the people of Bermuda need. This is no time for anyone to be abandoning the ship, pointing fingers, or self-aggrandizing. This is a time for our country to come together. It has been well documented that these are critical times for Bermuda, and I echo that sentiment. But I do say that with a large backbench, there is great responsibility. There is opportunities for us to continue to support the government, to hold them accountable, but more importantly, to row in and work together. So we can all point and highlight what we feel are deficiencies and inconsistencies. I say that, Mr. Speaker, is not the right thing to do. I say that this is a time for us to rally behind and hold up each other and prop up our ministers and to prop up our government and continue to work on behalf of the people of Bermuda. It is important to understand that Minister Dickinson was important. He has put down his sheet not as a member of parliament, as a finance minister. And I am telling you that there is great contributions for him to make still in politics and still for the people of Bermuda, still for his family, still for his constituency. The reality of it is that we still have him as a significant tool in the party's toolbox. I am committed to continue to work on behalf of the people of Bermuda. I know that my colleagues are continue to hold each other accountable, continue to work hard, continue to understand that there are things that we got wrong and we will continue to get wrong. But we must be reminded that we work on behalf of the people of Bermuda. It is with their voice that we speak. It is for whom we stand and we speak in this room every day, Mr. Speaker, and we have to understand it is our responsibility not to answer to what the opposition is saying today. They didn't vote us here. They will continue to talk and to trap and to do that which they are employed to do. What are we employed to do? We are employed to lead, to govern, to make decisions on behalf of the people of Bermuda. And that's what we will continue to do. We must go back into our constituencies, Mr. Speaker. We must work doubly hard and tell them that we are still on the battlefield on their behalf. We must pass legislation that reflects the needs, the wants, the desires of our people, because that's why they elected us. This is no time to lick our wounds. This is time to make sure that we galvanize, we work hard, we go back to our base, we go to international business, and we give them and show them our plan. That's what this country expects for us. We must not take our time today and highlight and argue and fuss. This is the party that were elected by the people of Bermuda to govern. And govern we will. We will accept and acknowledge that the finance minister is gone. but we still have a responsibility to lead in our constituencies, lead in our ministries, lead in our families, lead in our community clubs. We don't sit in the ivory tower. We are people that lead in this country. And we must lead with our minds. We must lead with our hearts. We must lead with our brains. We must lead with good finance, with strong ethics and strong morals and strong principles. That's what the people of Bermuda put us here for. We need to be reminded sometimes when we hear the opposition talk, Mr. Speaker, that's what they're there for. But lest we not forget, we are here to lead. We're here to govern. And sometimes people leave ministries. Sometimes people leave departments. But the people of Bermuda must always have a voice. They must always have strong leadership. They must always have ethical leadership. Mr. Speaker, whilst that member, in whatever thing she attempted to do to my name, Mr. Speaker, I am committed to the people of Bermuda. I am committed to my party. I'm committed to openness, to honesty, to transparency, to hard work, to dedication, not only to the people of constituency 14, because you ask the people of my constituency, have they seen me? Have I been there? Have I been by their side? The answer will be yes, Mr. Speaker. But guess what? My constituency is not just my only responsibility. It's every household in Bermuda. It's every family in Bermuda, no matter the color, no matter the gender, no matter the religion. We are all in this together. We are all in this together. And if this country is to rise, if this country is to succeed, we must continue to hold each other accountable, march on a bearing, Mr. Speaker, and continue to work for the betterment of the people. Because these are our people. No one's coming from the north to save us. Nobody's flying down to help us. It is our responsibility, and we must roll up our sleeves, and with honor, with integrity, with discipline, with a steadfast determination, we must work on behalf of the people of Bermuda. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.